Everyone. Good evening. So we are just waiting for few other people to join, and then we'll start. Yes, yes, there are certifications that you will get. Yeah, don't worry about it. You'll get all the information. Just we are waiting for a few more people to join, and then we'll begin. Thanks for your cooperation. Okay, I hope everybody can hear me loud and clear. Okay, great. So let's start this session. Thank you so much again, everyone, for joining this. Let's start this session by introduction of myself, and then we can go ahead and talk about a little bit of very brief understanding about you guys so that we can understand each other, and then I can go ahead about this micro certification in prompt engineering. What exactly is prompt engineering and how do we do this? Not in the perspective of how we do it in the coding also, but in the perspective of how we do it, you know, how we do it in the other works as well. So, for example, if you have a chatbot, if you have a, let's say if you have a simple, I would say simple, you know, ChatGPT or DeepSeek R1 um, subscription. So you can also go ahead and start doing implementing these things, and you will get very efficient results as well. So let's start it by introduction of myself. Then I will talk to you about a little bit about you guys. So thanks again for joining this webinar, guys. Let's start it. So my name is Akash Maurya. I have 6+ year of experience in not just training as well, but in into the field of data engineering, data science consultant, and senior machine learning engineer. So first, I was working in Cognizant as a data engineer for a couple of years, and then I worked at a data science consultant in Deloitte a couple of years, and then for the last couple of years, I've been working as a senior machine learning engineer at Nagaro. Okay. So this is about myself. Let's talk about you guys. Can anyone tell me, like, you can just put a message in the chat section about you guys. I hope that this is the combination of working professionals as well as students. So if you're a student, just put a message as student. If you're a working professional, just put a message working professional in the chat section. Let me have a quick recap, a quick understanding about you guys, and then we can go ahead and start understanding about um, the topic of today. Ninth MBA student. I can see there are a lot of students, BTech student, yeah, yeah, working professional, BTech student, working professional. Okay, I can see that. That's great. That's great. I can see there are there are a lot of people. There are a lot of working professionals. I mean, a lot of students in fact, a very few working professionals as well. But anyways, this session is going to be equally important, not just for the student if you're a student, but also for the working professionals as well. So if you are, so this is going to be a productive session. It is not going to be, just a session that will go anyways. So it's basically help you to enhance your productivity. Doesn't matter if you're working as in a company as any post, but if you are either if you are, a student and no, doesn't matter in which domain you are working or reading or studying, it can be basically applicable on to you guys at any field. So basically we are going to understand how to use AI, how to use artificial intelligence effectively, and that is basically the backbone of it, how to actually use the tools such as chat gpt you have, such as uh, you have DALI, you have Anthropic's Claude. You have a lot of difference, not just this, but also the open source models as well. So we are going to have a look into this. We are going to have start from the very basics of it, and then we are going to keep a very good eye understanding about this topic into later on. So let's see. Let's see. We are going to talk about the prompt engineering. What exactly is prompt engineering? But before actually diving deeper into prompt engineering, I'm going to talk about uh, what exactly, like how we come to this place. What exactly is the AI that we are using, and how have we built that artificial intelligence in the first place, right? So let's get started. So what I'm gonna do is what is natural language processing in the first place? So natural language processing is a task where you want machine to understand natural language, right? So as of now, machines understand programming languages, right? So let's say Python, C++, Java. These are the programming language. So machine understand programming languages that have a certain syntax. But if you want to make them understand natural language as in the language that we actually speak, it could be Hindi, English, Marathi, Punjabi, Bengali, whatever, right? So the language that we speak, we uh, uh, we want to we want our machine to understand that, because a normal human cannot talk in coding, cannot talk in programming language, right? So what we want our machine to understand. If you want my task to be done by the machine, so I want my machine to understand what I'm saying, right? Not everybody is a geek, not everybody understands code. So what do? Everybody can explain on their own words, but in natural language, right? So natural language processing is a field where we want to make sure that what the speaker says, what the human says, these machines can understand, listen, and understand them clearly, right? So that part of our computer science is called natural language processing. So NLP is basically a subset of AI, you can say, artificial intelligence, which focuses on it basically enabling machine to understand, not just understand, but also interpret and generate human language. It could be any language. There are models working on the multilingual models as well. So what is the core task of it? So basically, I'm not going to go deeper into that because this is not a session where we are going to build a natural language processing model. We are just having a pretty brief understanding, right? So we actually encode this text, right? Any text. Let's say I'm speaking a sentence. I love mangoes, right? So I love mangoes. This is a sentence. Now this sentence will be broken down into a vector that we can, feed into the machine, and machine can understand what I am saying. Maybe not exactly as human can understand, but also, but in the context of certain words and certain dictionaries, it can understand the meaning of that vector that represents I love mangoes as a sentence, right? So there are actually various steps. You have tokenizations, part of speech tagging. I mean, these are the applications basically, part of speech tagging, named entity recognition. These are the different applications of natural language processing. And also sentiment analysis, machine translation, text summarization. These are the different use cases of the natural language processing. But the thing is, main thing that we want to contain our emotion, right? We want that machine understand the emotion within the sentences, right? So doesn't matter if I say same thing, I am sorry, but if I say I am sorry with different emotions, with maybe different other words, with the combination of different other words, it may impact a little better or little worse than I am sorry, right? So simply, I am trying to understand that machine understands the emotion, machine understands the sentiment hidden within the words, right? So this is what we enable. This is a very complex topic. There are a lot of algorithms. You can see tokenizations, we have vectorizations, we have TF-IDF, we have a lot of different ways to actually convert uh, natural languages into word vectors, right? So that is a different part of it. But let's go ahead and try to understand this. Encoding text into machine understanding. So we want to convert, as I told you, machine processes numerical data, not the text data. So anyhow, whatever sentence, whatever word you have to convert that into a text representation. I mean, a numerical representation, right? So for all of that, we have a bunch of different algorithms. We have one of encoding, we have bag of words, we have TF-IDF, and not just that. These are a very basic algorithm that I have listed here, but there are auto encoders, there are BERT models as well. These are the very latest model that has been used into the AI, the Gemini, Google Gemini AI, the ChatGPT. They actually use the BERT model as an architecture to actually translate a sentence into vectors. You can also simply import that BERT model, and you can also do the same for your any if you are actually developing any natural language processing model. So I'm not going to deeper into how exactly this one of encoding bag of words works, but these are the different techniques. If you want to simply explore further, you can actually go ahead and learn about the natural language processing, or you can also join our contact our company cells, and they will guide you how to what course is the best to actually start with, and how can you actually learn these techniques, these things one by one, so that you can understand these topics. Now, let's come back to our main thing that we are going to understand. How can we get maximum out of these AI, chatbots such as ChatGPT, DALI, or Google Gemini or Anthropic's Claude AI, right? Or even DeepSeek's R1 AI as well. So let's see. So as I told you, these are very basic representations of this. They have limitations that very high dimensionality and sparse representation. You will see a lot of zeros, but very few values in between, right? And lack of semantic understanding, like what is king and what is queen. They will not be able to differentiate between all of this. So these are pretty basic ones. Now here comes the advanced ones after this. um, Word embeddings and word vectors. Word embeddings is basically converting a sentence into vectors, into dense and low dimensional vectors, so that it is not highly, you cannot just, you cannot just process on a low processing power machine, but also it has better understanding of the context, right? So as I told you, word to wake, glove, and fast text. These are the three extensive ways to actually represent word into vectors. What they do, they capture the semantic, the feeling of the sentences, not just the feeling of the sentences, but also, enable the transfer learning across the natural language processing task as well, right? For example, let's say if there is a king and if the king is woman, then we can say that is the queen. That is a semantic understanding, the syntactical semantic relationship between words, right? And then um, we have our large language models. What are large language models? So large language models are basically not just the contextual problem. So before those things that we were looking before, those algorithms that we were looking just before this one, those were basically good enough for a narrow range of tasks. When I say narrow range of tasks, I mean, let's say you have to do a simple chatbot for a company, those algorithms can work. Because if you remember, before even ChatGPT, companies were having chatbots, right? So they were working in those algorithms with the help of those embeddings, right? But now, large language models basically can understand almost entire context around the world because they have been trained on that entire context of data. Right. So what are the LLMs? So basically, deep learning models trained on massive text corpus, literally everything available on internet. Right. So that is why you can see that people doing cases on ChatGPT, on OpenAI, which is the parent company of ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is doing cases on DeepSeek. That's another RNA. But they are using transformer. Basically, Transform was, if you want to see, Transform was developed by something Google engineers. They had written a paper, something called Attention All You Need, but they couldn't develop a GPT model on their own. But some engineers at OpenAI read this paper and they built ChatGPT out of that particular paper, implementing the transformer architecture. It's not the transformer that produces electricity, that converts electricity. It's a different transformer, actually. Right. Now, you can actually convert words into vectors that has, encoded meaning exactly how we understand it, right? These are the very extensive models. Now, um, what do transformer do? They use self-attention mechanism to process the input in sequences and parallel, right? We have GPT, we have pre-trained transformers, we have basically bidirectional encoder representation transformers. So these are different techniques to actually encode this. Um, and there are some, pre-training models, general language models. And as I said, why they are called large language model? Because they are trained on almost every kind of data set that you can think of on the internet, right? We are posting so much data on the internet, and these models have been trained on almost all of them, right? Okay. Now, um, now we talked about just LLM, how we build LLM, right? We build LLM because we were able to convert the text into vectors. Why? Because machine understand vectors. Vectors basically nothing but the area of numbers, basically, right? Now, if the machine we have converted those sentences, those text into array of words or an array of numbers, now here is the main thing that now think about the chat GPT or the AI agent that you're using. It could be chat GPT or DeepSeek or anything else, right? Now you have to ask an appropriate question. really appropriate question because they know literally everything. They know everything. So you have to ask, you know, appropriate question in appropriate way so that they will be able to bring the answers like that. To you guys. I'll give you some examples. How can you actually give the questions and ask the question and get an appropriate answer with the help of that? So what is a prompt? A prompt is basically textual input that guides the large language model to produce a desired output. If you guys have joined my previous webinars, in the last webinar, actually, that related to NLP, I told you guys there are multiple ways to build AI agents, and one of them was to actually go and use the API of the existing models. They provide APIs. You'll have to pay a little amount to query them, just based on the tokens, based on the number of words you give them. And there are some open source LLMs as well. Those you can simply install Python in your system, install those libraries from Hugging Face, and then you can actually import those LLMs and run those systems in your personal computers, right? So I'm also gonna give you guys a walkthrough of the coding, not just these not just these I would say PPT. I'm not a very big fan of showing PPTs and just explaining on them. I'm very practical person. I will show you and give you practicality as well. How can you do the same thing? Not just on the UI of, let's say, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, or whatever, but also you can do that in the coding as well. Why? Because coding enables you to build that on your own use cases. Let's see if you're thinking of something. You're thinking of building some model that can do a particular task. Then, if you are available all around 24 hours, you will be able to put the query in the chat GPT, and you'll be able to see the results, and then you'll paste the result to the user. But if you want to really build an application, end-to-end application that any other user can use, then you will have to do with the help of programming. You cannot do with the help of ChatGPT interface, the web development interface. Okay. So now we have already understood what is the prompt. And guys, please do not hesitate to actually ask the questions. I'll be really happy if you guys have question regarding this. If you have a question regarding about the certifications and all that, you guys will get the certification. Don't worry about that. But if you guys have any question regarding this, let me allow you guys to unmute yourself. But if you have any question, do not hesitate to actually ask the questions here in the chat section, or simply unmute yourself and ask. Just give me one. Okay, cool. All right, so I like really interactive sessions. So if you guys have any query, please feel free to ask the question. I'll be very happy to answer them. Now, we have understood what is a prompt. A prompt is basically instructions, a query that will ask the question from the model, and based on that, it will bring you back the results. Okay. I am humanities background. Can we get this PPT source? Okay, let's say, so for example, let's say here we have one of the example. What is a prompt? So basically a prompt is nothing but a question that guides the LLM and that produces the desired output, right? Prompt acts as an instructions or the query for the model, right? So it will ask the question from the model, and based on that, so basically, see, GPTs are nothing but designed to predict the next word after a question. So when you do that, if you have a question and when you have ability to produce the next word, so you will see the way they have trained, they are going to actually generate the result word by word. This is how exactly ChatGPT or any other generative AI works. And what is generative AI? If you see, generative AI is basically nothing but an artificial intelligence that generates the output. It is different from other AI systems. Those, it's like predictive AI or predictive modeling. They predict the systems, but here it generates the output based on what you had seen previously. It can generate images, it can generate text, it can generate videos, literally anything that you can think of. Now, there is an example of a text of a prompt, basically, that says translate this to French. Hello, how are you? And then the GPT, the AI, is going to give you the output of this of the translation, right? I will also show you how can you do that in the um in the coding section as well. I'll also show you that as well. How they are trained. They are trained basically. If I go into that method, that will be really really uh, you know of the topic of today. Basically, how they are trained. Basically, there are multiple ways of training, right? We have supervised trainings, the way GPT has been trained, but the way DeepSeek has been trained is the DeepSeek has been trained on um, if you say reinforcement learning by taking the feedback and giving them reward to actually produce better and better results, right? So these are the different ways of training mechanisms. Now, what is prompt engineering? So we already know what is prompt, what is LLM, basically the model where we will query, where we use the prompt. But what is prompt engineering? So the prompt engineering is basically a designing of effective prompts that will reproduce the desired result that you wanted from the LLM, right? Because let me just tell you guys a case study. I met a friend of mine who was working in the parent organization where I was working as a Deloitte in Deloitte. So actually, I saw him we all were using. Sometimes I was also, buying the Chat GPT premium subscription to actually get the better results. But I saw him, he had, like 20, 30 pages of prompt he had written, he has curated on its own, and he was able to produce, the equally good amount, equally good result as one will produce from the paid subscription of ChatGPT. He was able to produce that quality of results with the free version of that. This is the power of prompt engineering, right? So if you just give the right instructions in the right way, so the AI will be able to produce the right results, right? I will also give you the example of that. And not just that, I'll also show you the coding implementation. How can you, if you want to build one of the application on that, how can you build applications on top of that as well, that you'll be able to understand that. If you need more clarity, if you need more understanding, definitely you can, call our support executive. They will guide you how to, all of the, how to do that. What courses, what are the best thing to actually learn, how to learn that, and what are available, what we have available at AcceleratorX to offer you. What are the courses are there? How can you join them and all of them? Okay, let's see. It will improve model performance on specific tasks. It will reduce the ambiguity and ensures the um, context awareness for the responses. What is ambiguity? Ambiguity is basically means that you are not asking the clear questions, right? I heard that when the ChatGPT had came for the first time, I heard that someone saying ChatGPT is something that knows everything. You just have to ask the right question. That is it. And that is what tells you, this prompt engineering tells you about, right? What are the key objective of prompt engineering? Basically, you have to have clarity in the message of your prompt. Ensure that prompt is unambiguous. There is no ambiguity. Ambiguity is basically that means you can like your prompt has two different meanings. That is called ambiguity. Like, not just two, it has multiple different meanings. So your prompt should be clear. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna show that, Sagar. Don't worry about that. Okay, and then a specificity, provide enough context of the task that you are asking, um, and design the prompt that works across different models, right? So that's so let's see that. Let's see that. So what are the types of prompts? Before actually going to the types of prompt, let me show you how can you do this. How can you do this in the programming way? I already have written the code for it. So let me just walk you through. How can you do that within the programs? Let me share another screen. I hope you guys can see the screen. Another one. Cool. So see, there are, as I already told you guys, there are a couple of ways using this model in the coding. You can also, I mean, the first thing is that you can go to, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, or anything that you can think of, any model. As a matter of fact, you can go to the Gemini model, ChatGPT, DeepSeek. Quen is Alibaba's model from China. Um, You have Llama. Basically, Facebook's model, Llama. There are literally a lot of. You can even WhatsApp has, in the search bar on the top. If you search let's say if you're searching for a contact or something, but if you can also write a question and just put the send message, it will ask that question to basically the AI that is inbuilt in the WhatsApp, right? That is also, you can also get the answer from the WhatsApp as well. That's another integration that you can say. You can see that, right? As I told you, almost all of you might have gone to these websites and might have used those. But here today, I'm going to show you what's the coding version of that. I mean, you can apply that into the other version of that as well, where you go to the browser and search on the text box as well. So, how do you use OpenAI or any Hugging Face? What is Hugging Face? Hugging Face is basically a repository like GitHub, but GitHub has code repository, but Hugging Face is basically a repository for uh, open models, basically large language models, which are publicly available, right? So you can see here, I can log into Hugging Face. All right. So now you can see Hugging Face is nothing but, you can see these are the models here. Okay, now you can see this is DeepSeek AI DeepSeek R1 model. And you will see like how many downloads have been there and what's the size of the model as well. This is deep scale R1, 1.5 billion parameters. Basically, the number of parameters decides how good a model can be. Okay, so basically, you can actually take the notes. I mean, see the model that we want to use, and you can also see how to use that as well. So let's see how to use that. So first, if you want to use with the help of API, where you don't have to actually download and do anything on the model, you just can go to let's say OpenAI, right? OpenAI is basically the parent company of ChatGPT. Um, so let's log into the API section. So I've already logged in. You can go to let me see, quick start. Yeah, create an API key. So as you can see, I have created an API key here, right? You can also create a new key by clicking on this section over here. Click new key for new secret key. You have to give the name. Chirag, would you please, if you have any question, please ask the question or stay on mute. Otherwise, I'll remove you from the meeting. Anyways, so you can see, you can give the name to your project. You can, keep the permissions, read only, all, restricted, whatever, and then you can create the new key. I already have that, and the best way to use the key is not include in your code actually, because if you put your code somewhere online, people will be able to see your key, and that actually takes money to use that, right? You must have the credits to use that actually, right? So you can see your usage based on the query that you have done based on um, the usage based on how many times you have invoked that API actually, right? So let's go ahead and see here, right? So all you have to do, OpenAI has basically you know a library in Python. We are going to do everything in Python, in fact. So OpenAI has a library in Python. You can simply go and install that. So as you can see, pip install. I mean, all the way before that, you have to install Python, Jupyter Notebook, and all that. That's. I hope everybody knows about that. Um, can you explain again what tokens are? Tokens are basically nothing but words. Tokens are words, right? So, for example, um, I'm writing. Let's say this is a string. I love my India, right? So there are four tokens in this. I love my India. Token is nothing but the number of words, right? Tokenization is basically converting a sentence into a list of words. That's it. If you convert this sentence into a list of words, that will be called as a tokenization, and these individual words will be called as a token. Okay. All right. Again, so I already showed you how can you go and you know log in with the API. Go to this section, API key section, and you can create the API key here by clicking here. Give the name, and then you will have the API key. You can simply copy that. So I copied it. I pasted into a text document. And you must have already installed Python in your system. I'm not going to show you how to install Python and how to install Jupyter Notebook. You can also work with the .py file as well, but Jupyter Notebook is a better version of that, I would say. So you can install OpenAPI. So I have installed using pip install OpenAI. Now you can see requirement already satisfied. That means this is already installed in my system. And then you can simply import the API. And then I am actually reading the API key.txt file, which is available in my folder, in the same folder where I'm working actually. Now I can also read that. And let's say I am asking, let's say I'm giving a prompt here. This is a simple code. I'm in OpenAI dot chat completion dot create. It will give you you can use the model that you want to use, GPT-4, and you can define the roles. And here's the prompt. The prompt I have defined here, like prompt is equals to who are you? And then this is a question. This is a simple question how to use that. This is a simple demo how you can use that in the coding. Now, I have simple saying that who are you? And then if I run this, now it will what's that? Oh, I see that. It has certain guidelines. But as you can see, when I was running, um, I might have to pay to actually use it. Uh, this is, let me see. So I already had some amount. Mm, At completion. So this is, I have used 287 tokens. Anyways, let's not waste time over here. If you do it for the first time, that you will be able to do. Maybe I have used it a lot. I'll check it out later on. Okay, but if you see, I have got the result that says that I am OpenAI's language model. Uh, GPT-3, I am designed to assist with task and answer the question to best of my abilities, based on the information that I've been trained on. Right. So this is the response that I've got by asking the question, "Who are you?" Right now. Um, as I told you, the other way around to use the AI. So you can see here, this is I'm using a paid version. I'll have to pay money. I'm actually there is a server, there is an API for this that I'm using. I'll have to pay money to use that to ask the question, but I should not have a very powerful system to run it. I can run it on even uh, you know, three I3 processors as well. There is no issues on that, right? Because I should just only have an internet connection to run this one, right? This is the only limitation. But now I will have to pay for that. I can use whatever model I want. I can use the best model with giving the best results. I just have to pay money to that. right? But that is not the best way to actually do that. You can use the free models available, as I told you, the model repository at Hugging Face. To do that, all you have to do, install the transformer. That is basically from the, you can use the Hugging Face to use that. I have already installed it, as you can see, pip install. And then from the transformer, I am using the pipeline here. Now, um, now I'm creating a text generation pipeline with the GPT-2 model. Again, GPT-2 model is a very, I would say, um, naive model, very basic model that do not have any context, that actually has, I think, 100 million parameters or something, very less number of parameters actually, right? You can actually pass here GPT-4, GPT 3.5. I mean, if they are available, or any other model, you can simply go ahead and see the available models. You can actually pass here the values, but the thing is, you will have to um, your system should be that much of capable. As you can see, this is the model. You might have heard about the recent DeepSeek AI, the recent R1 model of them, which is performing really well. But that too is also 6.7 billion parameters. My system, which is currently M1 Air MacBook, has 8 GB of RAM and octa-core processor that cannot handle this. If I have at least 16 GB of RAM and at least, I mean, processing power is good, but RAM is not enough for this task, right? If I load this model, I might not be able to communicate to you guys. Maybe it will have a just crash my system. So I'm not going to do that. In fact, you can use either GPT-2 model or any other model that you want, but your system should be capable of supporting that, right? Um, right. Okay. So now you can see here, you can simply take a screenshot of this if you want to, do the same thing on your own. All right. So now you can see I'm simply importing the transformers and importing the pipeline, creating the GPT-2 pipeline with the GPT-2 model. You can also simply see that what are the different alternatives of model that you can do, but you have to simply check the number of parameters there, right? And there are different models actually. You can pass DeepSeek AI 1.3 billion parameter one as well, 6.7 billion parameters as well. There are different number of parameters that can help you with doing this. The more number of parameters basically gives you the better results. I hope that people. Okay, can you guys see the screen? Is there any problem with the screen visibility? You can see. Okay, cool. Maybe those who are not able to see the screen, go to a good internet place where you have good internet connection. Anyways, let's start. So as I told you, you can use any other model over here as well, right? Now let's see how does it work. So as you can see here, it says hardware accelerator, that is GPU is available in the environment, but no device argument is found. So you can actually pass a device here as well. Just simply pass device is equals to, and you can actually use the GPU as well. But the thing is, if you have a Windows system and you have an NVIDIA GPU, then you can actually use the CUDA or Torch library, CUDA Torch library to actually enable to use the GPU for the training, or not just the training, but also using this, processing this. Right, but unfortunately, Mac do not have that kind of support, right? Mac systems do not have that kind of support that you should be able to do. I mean, that I was not able to actually utilize the power of the GPU. But anyways, you can see when I ask it, let's say I ask a simple question. As you can see, there is also another way to use GPU on Apple Silicon, but I tried this, but this was also getting error. So basically, this is not implemented. So the first way of prompting is called zero shot prompting. What is zero shot prompting? It's basically directly asking the question from the GPT model, right? You just directly ask the question. For example, I am asking here that says, translate this to French. Hello, how are you? I mean, I don't know the French, but I see hello is called bonjour, and in Spanish the same thing is called hola, right? Now you can see comments, whatever that is. I think how are you? Okay. That is the thing. And now you can see here, zero shot prompting is basically when you don't give any context and just ask the questions, to the user. All right. Okay. So that is what a zero shot prompting is, right? Now, um, now you can see the same example. You can see the same example with the Hugging Face API as well. But you can see this model is so vague. This model is so vague that it is not able to understand the context. I'm not sure what exactly it is giving, right? The output is not exactly valid. So I cannot use the better model because my infra doesn't support, my machine doesn't support that. And that is why I'm not able to get the correct result that I wanted from this model, the GPT-2 model, as you can see, right? If I would have used this one or this one, I could have got better result in this case, right? Um, all right. So this is called zero shot prompting, right? Zero shot prompting is basically when you simply ask the question, right? And you simply ask the question and you do not give any context, right? Uh, you do not give any context of the use. All right. So let's see what are the other ways of prompting. So we have few shot prompting. You give few examples, and then you can simply guide the model, right? So, for example, it says, I'm just giving one example. So there is also, between a zero shot prompting and a few shot prompting, there is also something called one shot prompting, where you give one example and then ask the question later on. And then after that, you can also, give multiple examples and ask the question. That is called few shot prompting, right? Example, translate this sentence, hello, hola, goodbye, adios. This is basically in Spanish. And now, if I ask this to translate thank you, then it will understand. So, based on this example, based on hello to hola, based on goodbye to adios, it will understand that I'm actually talking about translating into Spanish. This is Spanish language, right? Now, it will similarly translate this thank you to the Spanish language. Maybe that's gracias, I guess. So it will translate that to gracias. That is called few shot prompting. So you give a bunch of example, input, output, and then model will understand and then give the result that you wanted, right? Okay. The other way of prompting is called chain of thought prompting, right? That encourages step by step reasoning for a complex task. Okay. Um, okay. Uh, Right. So, for example, the example of that could be solve this math problem 2 plus 2 multiplied by 3. Then I'm giving the reasoning that multiply 2 and 3, then add 2. This is just an example, right? But if you employ the same thing, into your daily questions, right? Whatever you ask, it can significantly improve the quality of the result that you get from the model, right? You can try these things. Now, instruction-based prompt. So you can give explicit instructions to the model, and then model will behave in that certain way, right? So, for example, I'm saying that act as an historian and explain the causes of World War One, right? Then it will give the results. Let me just show you these same examples. Let me just show you these same examples here in the chat section as well. I mean, in the coding. Okay. Now you can see this is an example of few shots. Hello, hola, goodbye, adios. And then if I say translate now to thank you, then it is translating that to gracias, right? You can actually take this definition, take this function as an example, and you can use that. Now, the same thing I'm giving to the Hugging Face library. Again, um, yes, English word hello means no. But this is again out of context. That is because this is a very vague model. This is not a good model. If you use a better model based on that, based on the system capabilities, you will definitely get the results, right? But if you see as compared to this one, which was which is way off and producing very different results, this is I would say a little bit closer, but not exactly the what I wanted. But the answer is very small as compared to this one because of the examples. Right. This is a chain of thought example. Again, how you can use the chain of thought. Okay. So guys, before I go further, I have a Ruchir here, our CEO, who wants to have a word with you guys, and he will be taking few minutes of you, and he will be making you guys few little basic understanding before, and then I can go ahead and continue on this topic. Ruchir, are you available there?
Hey Akash,
Yep.
yeah, can you hear me? Yeah. Hey
Yeah.
guys, I hope you guys are enjoying this session. I so our founder was also looking at this session, and he's very much into AI and stuff. So as a part of A2M, so our parent organization is A2M Technology, and as a part of their initiative to build AI AI workforce. He's sponsoring all the folks in this current workshop. All the people will be getting scholarship from A2M Technology. So you guys will be eligible to upskill yourself with A2M Technologies, and they will be providing you scholarship of 30% on AcceleratorX courses. So that was one thing I wanted to discuss. So that is why I just barged in, because our founder wanted to, reveal this in the middle of the class so that you guys can avail this
Yeah.
scholarship.
Yeah. Pay more
So,
attention to this.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So whoever is attending this class, E2M is providing you 9,000 worth of scholarship for Accelerator X courses. Okay, guys. So I'll not take more time. Thank you so much, Akash, for
Yeah.
letting me in. And I hope everyone is enjoying. Our founder is also watching this session. So good luck. And thank you so much.
Yeah.
You can continue now.
All right. A
Yeah.
duration. So that is duration is basically, we have kept it to somewhere around 1 to 2 hours. This is not a topic, as I told you guys that, I'm not very much time bounded guy or PPT guy. I love if you guys have questions, if you guys have, this duration can stretch out a little bit, but I would make sure that it goes somewhere around, 1.5 to 2 or somewhere close to that, but not pass more than 2 hours because that will be hectic for you guys as well. Okay, so that is about the duration. Okay, let's come back to our example that we were discussing here about chain of thought, right? Chain of thought, you can guide the LLM to actually think, understand the question that you have given, and then based on that, what explanation you have given to that, it will proceed based on that. Now, if you see, I have given solve this math problem 2 plus 2 multiplied by 3. Then I'm saying that first multiply 2 by 3, then add 2. And you can see it says that the answer is 8. That is because it's able to do that. Now, here is the output of the model that I was using from Hugging Face. Again, the same question, but it is not able to write the correct answer. First multiply 2 and 3, then add 2. Let's see what happens if our 2 plus 1 thing is true. I mean, literally, this is, I don't know what's the output of this one. Again, if you could use a better model, definitely you would get better results in this case. Okay. So that is totally dependent upon what system you have, right? You can try and do the things with different models. Now, instruction-based prompt, this is here. So zero shot, it's not short, it's actually short. Zero shot is basically when you don't give any context. You don't give any examples. So you can think short as example, right? See, zero shot is basically means you do not give any example and simply ask the questions. So most of things that you might be doing till now, you are doing zero shot. You're just going to ChatGPT, you're just going to Gemini, you're just going to DeepSeek. You are asking the question, what is this? What is that? That is called a zero shot prompting. And the higher parameter model, the better models will be able to tackle that. But if you have a weak model, it's better. And if you have a complex problem as well, it's better to give them examples, give them chain of thoughts, give them instructions, and then they will be able to follow that and to give the better results. Right? All right, cool. So I mean, shot is basically nothing but examples. So one shot means one example. Few shot means few examples. It could be two, three, four, five, six. If you have more complex problem, then you can give more examples. If you have simple problem, you can give lesser examples as well. Okay, that is few shot. Chain of thought, where you explain how exactly step by step the thing will be done, right? We'll basically, the name itself suggests chain of thought. You'll basically chain your thoughts together, right? That is that. And then here we have instruction-based prompting, where you give the instructions. For example, um, here I'm saying that to the ChatGPT, write a formal email to a client apologizing for a delay in the delivery, right? Now you can see um, here, it's a simple, I'm saying that formal email, and I'm giving the context as well. Client apologizing for the delivery delay in the delivery. Now you can see it has given an entire result, as you can see. Sincere apology for the delay in the delivery. I hope this message finds you well. I am writing you concerning about your recent order and whatever. Right? You can actually go through this. This is really impressive, right? Um, Now this is if I do the same thing with the instruction-based prompt, let me see what it gives us. Just read the message. There seems to be a lot of confusion among the customers and manufacturers. Some buyers, the delay in the shipping is no more. So take care to send it out. Okay. Um, oh my God, this is also giving the number of I don't know what toll-free number it is giving. In shorter way possible. See, yes, basically, I have created functions for each of the task. As you can see, um, this is before that, let me just go through from the top itself. I have imported, I mean, installed OpenAI and Transformer that is required, right? There are two ways that I'm using it. First one is basically using the API of a really good model that is ChatGPT GPT-4. And then the other way around that I'm using is basically using the open source model, downloading it from the Hugging Face, and then using that. So if you install this pip install transformer, then you will see that it will take time to download the model. It may take 10 to half an hour to actually download that based upon your internet speed. It may take a lot of time. Maybe some models are 1 GB, 500 MB, like the size based on the bigger the model, the better the result, and the higher their storage cost will be, right? Here, let's say if I'm using this one, um, you can get here. So these many people have downloaded in the last month. You can get its about, you can learn about this. What are the models? How is the performance of the model as comparing to the benchmark? What's the size? What's the different number of parameters? You can see 37 billion parameters. This is a really huge number. I will not be able to run this in my machine. It will crash it, right? So you can actually use that. Now, once you have used it, so this is, I'm simply using text generation API using the GPT-2 model here. And I'm using this generator. Every time you can see, I'm using this generator to give my prompt. As you can see, I'm using generator and I'm giving prompt here. I'm asking what should be the max length of the output, and number of return sequences is to 1. So it has to answer in just one sequence, one sentence, right? So that is what you can see here, the output I'm giving, the output I'm getting. I'm simply, this is zero start Hugging Face. This is the name of the function. I'm calling the function with the uh, prompt given over here. Simple. I'm doing for all of this. As you can see, this is this is the function. I'm using OpenAI chat completion method, and I'm specifying the role and the content. This is a basic way of doing the query with the help of Python. And I'm actually using this all the way, as you can see, very similar way. This is Hugging Face. Every time you will see very similar question from the Hugging Face here. You can see same thing. It's just different prompt, right? It's just the prompt is different, right? But the method is the same, right? All right. Even if you want to use it for your own purpose, you can actually do that. You can give the different prompt with the techniques that we have talked about. You can give the prompt in the technique of uh, you know chain of thoughts, in the technique of few shot, and all of that, and you will see that how the quality of your answer get increases. Cool. um Now, so let's see. I was talking about instruction-based prompt, right? So let's see. As you can see, this is the answer. Before that, let's go ahead and look ahead as the theory understanding of these. Just a few more examples here. So we already saw zero shot prompting. Zero shot prompting is basically that requires the model to perform the task without any prior example. You are not giving any example. So how it works, the model relies entirely on its pre-trained knowledge, right? And it will search the question on its entire database, whatever it has been trained on, right? As you can see, the example one translates this French. Hello, how are you? Another example of this could be classify the sentiment of this text. I love this product. So it says that the sentiment of this text is actually positive. The definition of the few shot prompting is basically we have already gone through. Prompt that still included few examples. As you can see, example one, we are giving translate this sentence. We are giving two examples. And in this one also, I'm giving two example. I love this, which is positive. I hate this, that is negative. And when I say this is okay, and the output is neutral. So based on that, again, it is trying to understand based on the example. And then it will, basically these examples will help the model to guide, what kind of behavior you are expecting from the model's output, right? Chain of thought, the prompt that encourages model to break down the complex tasks into step-by-step methodology. And then it will, based on that, it is going to, the model generate the intermediate reasoning steps before producing the final result. This is how it exactly works. So as you can see, I have an example, solve this math problem, 2 plus 2 multiplied by 3. And then I'm giving the reasoning, giving the instructions, a chain of thought that says multiply 2 and 3, then add 2. Then you can see the steps involved. It will multiply 2 and 3, 6, and then add 2 plus 6. That will be the final answer. That will be 8, right? Now, there is another example that will help you to understand chain of thought better. Why the sky is blue? First, describe light scattering, then explain how it applies to the sky. So it's the step one of this, it understands It understands the light scatter in directions, in all direction when it scatter with the particles, and then a shorter blue wavelengths scatter more in atmosphere, making the sky appear blue, right? So that is another example of chain of thought. Now, instruction-based prompt that provides explicit instructions guide to the model's output, how it works. The model follows the instructions precisely, the instructions that you have given to give you the response. Right? For example, it says write a formal email to the client apologizing to the delay in the delivery. Then you saw that answer in the coding session as well, right? Um, and then summarize the below article in bullet points, right? So it is going to, let's say if you give an article, it is going to summarize that into bullet point, three bullet points, however you want it. Okay, so based on the instruction that you'll give, it is going to follow that instructions and give you the results. Now, there are some advanced prompting technique as well. We are quickly going to look into that as well. And if you guys have any question, please put the question in the chat. I'll be happy to answer that. Or you can also unmute yourself and ask the questions here as well. Prompt chaining. So again, that is similar to chain of thought, where we are giving the model to understand the thought based on the breaking them down into different sections. It will break complex tasks into smaller sequential prompts. So you have to break your complex tasks into smaller sequential prompt. You cannot give the model and say, do this. Instead, give smaller prompts, give instructions, and that's called prompt chaining. Let's say I'm saying that first summarize the document and then analyze the summary for key insights. Let's say you have some data and you're asking it to summarize it first, and then based on that summary, uh, you are asking them for the key insight from that summary. Actually, that is chain of thought. Actually, then the thing is role playing. Role playing is basically you are assigning a role to the model to guide for the guided response, right? So, for example, when I need any medical advice, I will say that act as a doctor and explain the symptoms of diabetes, right? That is called
Hello, sorry to
yeah.
interrupt you. Can you hear?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah, I just want to clarify one thing. When
you're
when we- when we implement chain of thought, there is any need of special characterization we want to implement in this prompt. That can be affect our prompt, or that can change the model at any it affect anything.
yes, definitely. So, for example, you have let me show you. There are logical things as well. So, for example, if you see and pipe, pipe is basically act as R. There are some key things as well that you have to take care in mind. If you have to put the code, right? If you have to put the code there, so you have to, I mean, it's better to give, I don't know what we call that, but put in this section. I mean, it will work. It will work if you don't give without this as well. But if you are actually, as I said, if uh, the model is basically, I would say, good, better, then maybe it can work without passing these, without passing this. But if the model is not good enough and your task is much more complex, then you can actually pass this way. And not this is not just a single thing, but also there are some as I told you, pipe character for um, or operator, you have and operator as well. So wherever you need that for logical operations, you can also use them. But this is the one thing. I mean, mainly I have used it for coding purposes, generating codes and all. So if I have to give the context of the previous code that I've been working on, I generally pass it using these, three codes. You can find this just below your ESC button. This is the those three things, three codes.
Okay, okay, thank you. Understand. Thank
And it definitely helps you to you know create a good prompt, because model understand that in a very specific way. So it will always understand that when you have appeared this, it will not read your entire input as a normal text, but it will read these inputs um as a, the code, as the code that you have given, right? If the model is good, it can figure out that this is the code. If the model is not good enough and your task is complex, as I told you, so it's better to pass this into these codes.
Understood. Understood. Thank you for the explanation.
All right. Yes, we were talking about, yes. So role playing is basically you can ask them to play a certain role to actually answer the question, right? And there's a template-based prompt as well, using predefined structure for consistency. So basically, I just give an example of a guy in Deloitte who had different templates. Basically, whatever prompt he was building, he was giving it a proper time to write it. Okay, and then it was giving that prompt to the AI. So it has maintained his prompt. So it has maintained a certain template. He had some coding templates. He has some managerial question templates. He had some different kinds of template. All he had. Okay. All right. So that is template based prompt. So you can create templates, and based on that, you can fill the things within the questions within that, right? And iterative refinement, as I told you. If you give even a perfect prompt, but the model is not able to understand, or maybe it is able to understand in a different way, you can refine your prompt iteratively. When you ask the next question, say it to reduce that particular thing, increase that particular thing, give some more instructions to that. Give some more instruction to that, and refine your prompt based on the answer that you are getting, and definitely you will get better results over time. Continuously improving prompt based on the output that you are getting. Yes. Yes. So AI can hallucinate sometime, and it can give results way out of context, right? So the above method that we already talked about will help you to actually stay in the context, the AI to stay in the context. And even if the context is not enough and it is producing some a little bit off results, so you can see the results, and based on that you can give it more instructions, and maybe in 2, 3, 4 times you'll keep giving him different instructions based on how it is generating the answer, and then you will see that after some time it will give you the results the way you wanted it. So that is basically iterative refinement, right? So here are some examples. As you can see, prompt chaining. So prompt one that says summarize this article, and you can give the article text, and the article discuss climate change or polar bears, and then based on this summary, explain the cause of the issue, and the main cause of the melting the Arctic ice due to rising global temperatures and all that. This is one example. List the steps to bake a cake, right? As you can see, and then why preheating the oven is important. There's another chaining in the prompt. Role playing, again, just we have already seen that, but we're just having a look into that. I will also show you the code as well for this. As a doctor, and explain the symptom of diabetes. And the output is like, as a doctor, I would explain that the common symptom of diabetes includes frequent urination, excessive thrust, unexplained weight loss. Um, uh, yeah, so these are the common symptoms of diabetes. And act as a historian and describe the cause of the World War One. So as a historian, I would highlight such cases. I don't know the exact case of World War One, but it has described that. As you can see, using templates and placeholder, basically template and placeholder, basically you already have the prompt, but in different questions, when you are asking different context, you can actually replace few things in between and then ask the same question. So as I was giving the example of the guy, so he has built his 15 pages, different multiple templates of asking the questions for coding, for managerial questions, for statistical questions, all the way different kind of questions he had. He had a template for that. So you can simply put your question in that template and copy that template and ask the question to the GPT. It will produce better results. That's a good query, actually. I mean, that's a good practice, I would say. That's it. So write a formal email. You can write encode the tone over here, let's say formal email or a normal email, whatever, to client about a particular topic, right? And you can then say that formal email to the client and project update and all of that. And the next one is to generate in a science fiction story about a robot, right? Or you can say you can give these kind of prompts as well. And iterative refining, we have already seen that. So let's say explain quantum computing. Then we are saying that explain quantum computing in simple terms using analogy. Then it will explain in a different way. All right. Um, so this is about challenges. There are some challenges. We're going to talk about that, but before that, let's look the coding perspective of this one. Now, the advanced examples will be mainly focused on the GPT API itself. Now, you can see I'm saying that summarize this article. Climate change is the causing polar ice to melt an alarming rate, and then based on this summary, explain main cause of the issue. So this is uh, the main cause of the issue is discussed in the article is global warming, which is leading to rapid melting of the polar ice. This turn into causing the rise in the sea levels and threatening the natural habitats in the different species. Okay, and then here we have the role-playing prompts. So basically, as an example, as you can see here, it says act as a doctor and tell me the symptoms of diabetes. So as you can see, it has a very described way of increase the frequency of the urination, intense thirst, unexplained weight loss, constant hunger, fatigue, and weakness. So it has listed down 10 different um, symptoms of diabetes. You can also list, let's say, if you just want to see 10, 25 different symptoms, or not just that, if you want to see something else, you can also look into that. Okay. And then here we have. Okay, so we have template based. So as you can see, here's a template. So basically, if you understand how exactly the replacements are. So it is going to replace the tone with the formal and all of that. So it has also written that as well. This is an example of iterative refining. So explain quantum computing and then explain quantum computing in a simple term using an analogy. So imagine you are a gigantic library filled with billions of books, and your task is to find a specific book that is a similar what we traditional computers and processes information working through. So this is based on this prompt, it understanding the quantum computing, and based on this prompt, it is making you understand the way you want it. Okay. Um, all right. So this was about these uh, iterative refinement prompts, and there are some challenges as well in the prompt engineering. As I told you, do not just have the ambiguous prompt, right? Your prompt should be clear, consistent, and it will avoid the irrelevant outputs. Overfitting to specific prompt, the model may perform well on a specific prompt but fail on the version. That is also you have to think on that. And bias in the model responses. You can also have some biases in the model responses as well. Uh, Prompt can inadvertently amplify biases
Hello,
based on the training data it has been trained. Yeah,
hello.
yes, Nishant.
Sir, I was asking for the certificate. Is it paid or it's free?
I think the support team will be able to answer better on that.
So they are
Um,
not actually answering.
okay. Certificate is free, as you can see. I can see certificate is free, guys. All right. So these are the things that you have to take care of. Sometimes these things happens and you can tackle them with the logics, with the methods that we have already talked about. And sometimes if the model is not capable enough, you still get these things, right? Um, so basically these are the different applications of that. Of the chatbot, of the prompt engineering. You can also do data analysis. You can learn something. You can do content generations, chatbot and virtual assistant. You can build chatbots and virtual assistant based on that. Okay. Right. That's it. That's it for this session, guys. Thank you so much. If you have any questions regarding this topic, regarding prompt engineering, regarding LLM, regarding the courses that we offer, you can simply let us know and we will be happy to answer these questions.
Okay, sir. Thank you for the session. I just want to have a few questions.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, this LLMs can elaborate. When we when I'm becoming a prompt engineer, what
Yep.
what are the criteria basically we want to study in this appropriate learner? For example, I know proper way of Python coding and some learning about AI tools, etc., and
Hmm.
have a knowledge about how to give a proper prompt to the proper
Yeah.
tool. So,
Yep. Yep.
how can I get the APK and give properly write a code for the prompt?
Yeah. You want to see the one that I was showing? How can you do that? The
Yeah, I
code that I
just
was
want
showing?
to. Yeah, I just you show the codes of the uh, for example, chain to thought, role play. You show
Yep.
the
Yep.
codes. So where can I go to implement that code, and where can I get the code, and where would I want to implement for the working model?
Yes. So if you see, let me just show you. First of all, I just walked you through, how can you create the API. So there are a couple of ways for that. First one, you can use a working model, but maybe you'll have to pay for that. If you have a really good system, you can also install and work on the open source models as well, such as the recent one, ChatGPT. DeepSeek R1 is equally good as GPT 4o, right? But your system should be capable on that. Should be capable for that. It has 37 billion parameters, where ChatGPT has, 176 billion. I think ChatGPT 4 was 176 billion, and GPT 4o, I'm not sure about that. That might have even larger than. So these models will work if you have good systems, right? But if you're using the API, you will, even if you do not have a good system, you can actually get the good result. But for that, you'll have to pay uh, for that. And how to create APIs, API keys. We actually, let me just walk you through again with that. Okay, so you can go to OpenAI and you can log in for this API key, and it will eventually lead you through this one. and you can go to quick start here. You can create on this, create an API key. Click here to create a new secret key, and you can give the name of your secret key. As you can see, I have given here. I would say that keep it all. If you do not understand it, don't don't change it. Keep it all, and then you will see an API key. You can simply copy it. I would recommend you to not include in your code, and
Okay.
not include in your code. And what you can do is, do not include in your code, but read as a file. Put that in a file and read as a file. And then here is, I'm simply using OpenAI dot key is equals to whatever I just read from here. Okay. Now,
Okay.
the API key is set. You can give the prompt. You can use this, method, OpenAI dot chat completion dot create, and you will be able to do this. Now you can see on all of the code. If you understand Python, you can see in all of the functions I have this simple code. You can see the same thing here. Same thing here. It's just that prompt is changing, right? You can also do the same thing here. When you go to ChatGPT, and you can also go there and use the same prompting technique. But as I told you, you as a person, can improve your answers by simply using these techniques that we just talked about. But if you want this to, if you want this to be really, really useful for you guys, so you can go ahead and like if you want to build some applications on that, then you will have to use it as a code. You cannot use it, in the UI, right? So that is the way. That is why I told you. I mean, UI, everybody might be using this. This technique you can implement anywhere, either in the code, or either in the UI. But the reason I went with the code is that because you can build specific applications based on that.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks for the opportunity. I have a question to ask. Like, I am a learner of UX designer. So, as you
Mhm.
mentioned, the chain of thoughts might be helpful for my domain to brainstorm ideas. Can you elaborate this term to make sure to understand the pivotal point about this?
Yep. So basically, see, chain of thought is basically you are the main idea is to explain the model, what you are doing by actually breaking down into small chunks, right? So let's say if you are, let's take an example where you are designing something that has multiple components, right? So what you can do is you can first elaborate, can start with the prompt saying that give me the Figma. I'm not sure whether that is available or not, but that is under the capability. But if you're designing something, if you're doing something, so let's say that I have multiple components, you can divide them into multiple components and talk about just an overall thing. Then ask is to go within each component. You can give instructions within each component, and then this is how the model will able to understand um, how you have to do the things. It's kind of a pseudo code. If I talk about in terms of coding or in terms of programming, so you're actually giving the pseudo code. And the best way to use this is basically when you understand the code, when you understand the logic, but you want it to be a little faster in the coding, right? If you understand how exactly that works, you can give the instructions, you can give the chain of thoughts, break it down into small parts, and then you know uh, give it up as a prompt, and then it will able to understand what exactly you are thinking and what you want to solve, and then based on that it will provide you the solution.
Yeah, thanks for your insight, sir.
Yep.
So I have a question.
Yep.
So my name is Ravinder. I am student of MBA. So I want to know that is it possible to build an AI chatbot or AI tool without any knowledge of codes? If I'm using ChatGPT for that or any tool.
I would say there are some drag and drop tools. I'm not sure because I extensively use code and I rely on code. I would not recommend anyone to go without that. But if you have a specific criteria where you want to, some drag and drop AI tools, let me just see. Agent AI. Um, Bankable. You can think about that. You can research about that. I have listened. There are a couple of tools for you can actually build the AI applications by just dragging and dropping that. But for that, you must have the basic understanding, basic knowledge what each block does on that, right?
Okay,
So the
sir.
basic understanding you should have. I think there are some platform that provides you these techniques, but even though if you have a higher, if you want to really interested in building this, so Python is a very easy language. It's not anything to, it's not anything, any harsh language or any challenging things. It's just very basic as an English language. I mean, if you give some time, but if you don't want, there are some tools. I hope that they are available there.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right.
So one more question from my side.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, if I get if I get successful in creating any of the tool, so
Mm-hmm.
sir, yeah, how can I, sir, I have to publish or that I can use it for on my personal use. सर या फिर मेरे को करना ही पड़ेगा कहीं पे वो पब्लिश या फिर कहीं पे दिखाना ही पड़ेगा.
That totally depends, कि आप उसको यूज कैसे करना चाह रहे हैं. If you just want to do it for yourself, maybe you can use it internally in your system if you have downloaded, if you have installed it, if you're working with that. But if you want to show it to someone, let's say if you want to show some company, or let's say if you want to use it, if you want to, let that publish somewhere so that, anyone can use it. So you'll have to deploy that. For that, you have a different techniques, you have different ways, right? You'll have to build websites, you'll have to build, you know, interfaces for that, maybe applications or website, anything, any of these two things, so that people can go to that website or applications and then they can use that. There are some easy to use platforms as well, such as Streamlit. Streamlit is extremely, I would say, easy to build and deploy models with the help of GitHub, and freely you can do that. I'm also hosting a webinar for that as well. How to build and deploy ML models. And similarly, you can also build and deploy large language models as well using the Streamlit.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Maybe if you just wanted to work on your own, then maybe you can, get it work in the code. But if you want to release it for public users so that everybody uses, so there should be some form of interaction. Either you just place it somewhere on the internet so that everybody can use that. There should be some interface.
Sure, sir.
Right. Any other question? Santosh says, I have built an AI chatbot before 2 days. It was visible, but can I make it generate photos? I'm not sure how did you build it, but if you are using open source models, I don't think that there is any open source model that has capability to generate codes. So far, the open source models that are there, they are all generating text only, not the pictures or not the photos. If you want to build that, maybe you can use the API. You can check if ChatGPT has, Sora API available, or DALI has API available. You can check that. Maybe there is only one way for that. You cannot use open source model because there is no open source model available for this task. But you can definitely use the paid API ones. Check out if DALI or Sora has APIs available for that. Yes, because yeah, text based are easy to build ones. Image generations are pretty much tough task. Renu's also interview questions. I'm not sure. Are you asking me that what would be the interview questions if you're going for prompt engineering? To be honest, I haven't seen any post that requires prompt engineering actually. Prompt engineering we are learning so that in whatever field we are, no matter if you're in management, if you're in technical, if you're in some other field, you can actually do your work which you do in a day. You can do this in a couple of hours, right? Using these AI tools. Using these AI tools, you can do your work of, let's say, 6 hours into 1 hour, 6 hours into 2 hours. So that is what we are using. There is no such post as, prompt engineer in any company. You can search it, right? There is no such post. You will not find. I mean, I can see there's those many ads. I also see those ads on YouTube, on Instagram, everywhere. Those flooded with ads. AI, chat, GPT engineers earning, prompt engineers earning 22 lakhs, 43 lakhs. That is a fake ad. Believe me. Don't fall for that. This all of this we are learning so that we can increase our productivity. Doesn't matter if you're working as a business professional, running your own business, if you are working having your own team, if you are working for some company, you can actually do much more quality work in lesser time. That is why we are learning these prompt engineering techniques, but there is no such post actually. Alright, I guess that is it. That is it for this session, guys. Thank you so much. It was really nice interacting with you. Um, I hope you guys have filled the form for this. And if you guys have any questions, you can let me know. I'll be very happy to answer that. Yep. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you again. If I'll have any other webinar, I'll just host it. We'll see you again. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, that's it. Thank you so much. We'll see you again in the next one if we meet. That's again. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Good night.